Hi FlossTube, it's Julie at Reflections Framing and Stitching. Today is Friday the 27th of March and I am back for video number 5 in my Chart of the Day video series. Thank you everyone who commented yesterday and who watched the video and enjoyed the video. This has been kind of fun for me too, trying to come up with a question of the day and a chart of the day and why I'm picking that chart. It's kind of quiet here in the shop, so it kind of gives me something to do. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad that most of you are too. I did have a couple of questions yesterday that I'll answer, and then we'll go over the chart of today, the day today. It seems like reading over the responses from yesterday that most of us are a sweet person and not a savory person. Some were both like myself. Some were definitely savory, but overall, just kind of in my head, most of the responses were sweet. And chocolate. Chocolate seemed to be a big one. I like chocolate, but it's not, I'd rather have salted caramel. Or salted caramel with chocolate would be even better. What about you? Do you like salted caramel with chocolate? I like sweet and salty, definitely. I do like sweet and salty together. So, anyway, moving on. The questions from yesterday, I had, and I didn't write names down. I apologize. I just quickly jotted down the questions. I know Colleen did ask if I made note of my color conversion for the Saver chart, and it is in the notes under yesterday's video. Someone else asked, why do designers use both DMC and overdyes in the same chart? I am not a designer. I only pretend to be one for Retreat, so I can't answer for them, but I do that in my own designs sometimes, and the reason for that is I don't feel necessarily that people need to spend the money on an overdye for something that only has 6 or 7 stitches in it. If it's not going to give you the effect of an overdyed thread, then I don't feel it's necessary to use it. I'd rather save people money. So I'm assuming that that might be what the designers are thinking. I know there have been complaints in the past that I've read about where people get upset because they've paid $2.50 for a skein of floss and it used 5 stitches. And I can understand that. So I'm assuming that's why the designers are doing that, is to save you money. They feel that the overdyed is necessary for some parts and not for others. The third question I noticed was with the variance in the overdyed from dye lot to dye lot, how do you know you're going to get the same results? And the answer to that is you don't. You're not going to get even from the same dye lot, from one stitcher to the next, you're not going to get the same results because everyone stitches differently. Some people fussy cut because there's a part of it that of the overdyed length that they don't like, so they'll cut that out. Some people go cross country and then come back, so that's going to change the result. So you're not going to get the same exact result. You're just going to hope that you get close enough. And to be quite honest, you're the only one that's going to know that that's not exactly what Brenda's down the street looked like, because your dye lot was different from the next. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it makes enough of a difference to really be worried about. And I'm going to show you a couple of instances. This is the old dye lot of Golden Star that I got. This is the new dye lot of Golden Star. they're still the same intensity of color. This one has more orange. Yes, it's going to make a difference when you're stitching with it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to change the overall effect. In my opinion, I am not an expert by any means, but in my opinion, it's not going to change the overall look of your piece. This would be another example. This is the old die lot of Cerise and the new die lot of Cerise. They're both pink, so they're both going to work. It's just that it's going to give it a slightly different look, which makes it uniquely yours. That's how I like to look at it. It's uniquely yours. If you're stitching with it and you don't like how it looks, then you can change it up. That's easy enough to do. No one says you can't change colors. I know there are some people out there that, oh, I have to do exactly what the designer says, but no, you don't. Stitching Police is not going to come and get you because you changed a color in the design. I'm pretty sure that Misty is not going to come beating down my door because I suggested alternate colors for her design. I think she's just going to be flattered that I like the design and want to stitch it. So that's how I feel about that. And again, keep in mind, I'm not an expert. I'm not a designer, so I can only tell you what I think or what I'm feeling. Let's see, what else? I don't know that I have anything else on that regard, so I will move on to the chart of the day, which is actually multiple charts of the day. I decided to choose, since we were talking about the smoking clown at 4th of July parade, I decided that the 4th of July is coming up, so I wanted to choose something 4th of July. So I went with Home for the Picnic from Sue Hillis Designs. So it's lots of different 4th of July designs, all of them adorable. I saw them stitched up. Her pictures never do her stuff justice. In fact, while I was at market, I asked her if I could have a trunk show of her stuff because they're so stinking cute, but I think you pretty much have to see them in person. And she turned me down. So, no trunk show. So just take my word for it that these are really, really cute when they're stitched up. I pulled, each chart uses different, somewhat different flosses. Some have fewer than others. So I just chose one that I liked, which was this one down here, the blue truck. And these are the colors that are in that blue truck, and they are so pretty. And they go on, according to this, everything, all the cover models were stitched on Summer Sky. Trying to get it open to a big enough piece where all these colors will show. And it's showing up a little more intense than it actually is in real life. It's a very pretty pale blue with white, puffy looking cloudish spots in it. This is probably closer to what it looked like than when it was back here. As it's a very pale blue, and the colors look yummy on there. Yeah, this is way too bright. I think they'd stitch up fairly fast. They do have some back stitching to them, but they're not really, really huge pieces like the truck that I like. It's 89 by 47. So it's not large. It's not going to take long to stitch up, and it's really cute. Very, very cute. And there's something there for everyone. You know, this is a camper. Lots of you camp. Ice cream. That camper is selling ice cream. So 2 in 1. Bike. Brings back the old days when we used to be able to go bike riding. We used to go for hours and hours, and my mother would never have a second thought about it. But anyway, so that, and then there's another series. There's Home for the Harvest, which is really pretty too, and then Home for the Holidays, which you can't see all of them, but all of those designs are adorable. I highly recommend that you run right out and get the chart and start stitching for the 4th of July. Which will bring me to, it's not really a question of the day, it's more a share with me. Since we talked about the smoking clown and the 4th of July parade when I was a kid, it got me thinking about the 4th of July this year and what that's going to look like. We have, for the most part, spent every 4th of July since I was born in the Sandhills of Nebraska with my mom's family. There's been a few years we haven't been able to go. We didn't go last year. But we had plans to go this year. The whole family was going to go. So Adam and Marcia and the girls and Melanie and Chris and Ben and Kate. Abby was going to try and come for a couple of days. So we rented a house outside of town, and we were all going to stay there and do all the things that we normally do over the 4th of July. So I thought I would share a little bit about what the 4th of July has been like for me growing up and currently. My mom was one of 8 children. She had 7 brothers and sisters. So when I was younger, and they all lived up in Stuart, Nebraska, or around there, with the exception of Howard. Howard left the nest and never came back, I think. But pretty much her entire family was up there, and so there were lots of cousins to play with, and we got to go horseback riding. I had one uncle that was on a ranch and another uncle that was on a dairy farm. So we got to experience ranch life. We got to experience farm life. I attended we were generally there during the summer over the 4th. Once in a while we'd go at a different time also, over, I think, Labor Day weekend or something. So I got to attend a one-room schoolhouse, which had grades 1 or kindergarten through 12 in it. And that was fun. That was a different experience coming from the city. But I digress. We'll go back to the 4th of July. So a normal 4th of July would have been everyone gathering at my grandmother's house. And there were, in its heyday, probably 100 people with all the adults and the kids. There was always a parade. There was always a rodeo. And there were always stock car races. So I grew up going to the stock car races. I grew up going to the rodeo. I kind of quit going to the rodeo after I watched someone get gored. It kind of ended the whole rodeo for me. He didn't die. The clown saved him. But that kind of did it for me. I got to experience having a stock car come rolling over towards where I was sitting. Didn't quite reach me, but I saw my life flash before my eyes. So it was fun. We played hide and go seek, and we had, we ate outside and had played horseshoes and badminton and volleyball, and as we got older, we would go tubing down the Niobrara And we had the best 4th of July ever. For a small, small town, I got to be in the parade one year. For a small, small town, their parade was awesome. Here in Omaha, the parade in Ralston was every fire engine and rescue squad from all the little towns all around, and it was just one after the other. There were no floats, there were no horses, there were no classic cars. It was just a fire truck followed by a rescue squad, followed by a fire truck, followed by a rescue squad. That was one of the years that we had to stay home, and we all hated it and swore we would never do that again. So and then there were the fireworks. You'd go after the stock car races, they always had the fireworks. And as we got older, we started just going out to the cemetery and sitting on the hill in the cemetery and watching the fireworks from a distance, because the crowd was shooting off fireworks too, and almost took us out with a bottle rocket one year, and that was enough for us. So we started heading out to the cemetery and watching from a distance, which was really nice also. So we had an awesome 4th of July. So it makes me wonder what your 4th of July looked like when you were growing up. And I worry that this 4th of July will still be under all the restrictions and we won't be able to go again, which makes me very sad. So cheer me up by telling me about your 4th of July and what it looked like for you when you were growing up. And with that, I'm going to say take care till next time, which should be tomorrow, and get lots of stitching done. Bye-bye.